Hi, I'm Gina Biegel. I am a therapist and a psychotherapist in California in the United States. I am also someone who engages in evidence-based research, and I still do research today. And actually just had a recent publication on using a couple of my books for youth with cancer, and it's shown to be an evidence-based for that population as well. This program that you're going to be learning about, MBSR-T, or the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction for Teens program, was created in 2004, which makes this the 20th year that it was created. And actually, you're the first person I've talked to about it. So I'm really, really excited and proud of the fact this program has lasted for 20 years. When I first started this program, there wasn't a mindfulness and education movement. It didn't really exist. In fact, there weren't programs for me to look at in the teen or youth populations yet. So this program, MBSR-T, comes from both MBSR, the adult program of John Kabat-Zinn, as well as MBCT, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. My current area of interest is in adversity and trauma. I think a lot of our youth struggle, and because they struggle with trauma, a lot of times I think clinicians and people in the helping professions might misdiagnose. I know that sounds really extreme, but I find that a lot of times I'll see youth and they'll have, 5, 6 different diagnoses over time. And the truth is a lot of it comes down to trauma or PTSD. And I think a lot of people might not want to notice maybe some of that real true pain that comes from our young years that affect us into even our adulthood. This program is useful because it's an evidence-based program. It's a research-based program. So it's not that I just, poofed it out of the air with fairy dust. I actually created it based on an adult MBSR program that was founded, 40 years ago. And it is needed. And it creates, I see change happen with like little just aha moments. These easy, simple, but yet effective interventions create a long-term effect. And that's research based. This program is useful because it meets people where they're at. I think working with people, it's important to know where someone is at on their continuum of resources. Someone who's doing, really well and functioning really well and just wants to work on themselves, then I think the side of the right of the screen, the bank of well-being, it's, using coins to kind of resource yourself for that when life does show up, when life is hard, you've been kind of adding things to your well-being bank, such as self-care and mindfulness and self-respect and acceptance. And then, when there are people who are in an acute suffering or, adversity, trauma, a high level of chronic or toxic stress, is getting them to safety. It's, what are the things that the person needs to do, like this protective porcupine, to kind of keep them afloat. Sometimes it's taking a shower, sometimes it's, taking a walk, but sometimes it's also, doing a gut check, checking in with yourself, grounding yourself. And so sometimes in the moment, the best way to resource yourself is to protect yourself. So we'll talk about interventions and skills for both sides of this continuum. All right, so some of the key points of this training that I think are really, really useful is that a lot of young people, unfortunately, rely on things they see and what they see on social media. And a lot of those things aren't actually healthy for them. A lot of them are self-harming or negative coping behaviors. I call them behaviors because they're not skills. They're things that they learn to do, or even not even on social media, things they've seen in their home life or with their friends and what their friends are doing. And so it's replacing negative coping behaviors with positive coping skills. And so it's teaching young people to respond instead of react. I also like to think about mindfulness. This program is not only is mindfulness, it's mindfulness based. So there are other things in this program like self-care, gratitude, compassion, offering ourselves grace. I was just actually talking about glimmer. What are our moments of glimmer? Like, it's like, what are the things that we can look at in our micro moments, that show us that we matter, or pay attention to these little things that are actually beautiful around us. So I would actually say this is an intensive training, meaning you're going to learn a lot. It's fast paced. It's definitely not boring. So on February 8th and 9th, we are going to get into the nitty gritty. We're going to learn a lot. You're going to have resources, tools, and of course some CEUs, which doesn't hurt. So I also will promise you it's not boring. And you will have a lot of resources for your toolbox. You'll have the PowerPoint, and you'll also have a ton of any handout that we do, you'll have access to as well, which is kind of rare, I think. So that's something that makes mine, I think, a little bit unique, that I love to give things for people because I am a resource junkie.